Hola Madridistas, welcome to our preview for the UCL Round of 16 second leg, where we host RB Leipzig at the Bernabeu. Today's episode is sponsored by Manscaped, the pioneers in male grooming. So if you want to score golazos like Brahim in the previous first leg, feel totally confident, head over to manscaped.com and use the code LBR20 at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. That's LBR20 at manscaped.com. Today, we're joined by Justin, who runs the RBL Talk podcast, which is the best English RB Leipzig podcast out there. And of course, we have the OG back in the house, the big man himself, Farouk. How are you doing, guys?
Yes, sir.
Justin, how are you doing? I know
Very
it's
good.
pretty
Thank you
late.
for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah, 4:32 in the morning.
not too shabby at all. The commitment.
Yeah.
Farouk,
Good,
how
do
about
what
you,
gotta
man?
do, man.
Yeah, man, all good, man. Really, excited.
Really,
to
you're
see
all good
this,
after what happened at the Mestalla?
Bro, actually, what happened at the Marseille was a farce. But again, it goes to show. I think the guys already pinpointed, it goes to show the level of the refereeing that we have in Spain. It's such a shame, honestly. It's such a shame. And I mean, one thing we just always have to remember is that Perez and what's the name? Javier Tebas, they never see eye to eye. The only thing they agree upon is that there should be an independent refereeing body. That goes to tell you, that alone is enough to tell you, how dire the situation of refereeing is. And I remember, Mo was saying even at the preview, even at the post game, he also iterated that Gil Manzano is the best that Spain has to offer right now. And if he in his right mind looks at someone willing to crosses the ball, and then blows a full time, I'm sorry, man. That just tells us that, and now this is the time where you have to actually, remove the bias and forget about the institutions. The referees are just horseshit. It doesn't matter if you're Real Madrid or Barcelona or Atletico Madrid. The referees are just pure horseshit, honestly. And I'm really surprised that more people didn't get red cards, man. Honestly. I am surprised that more people didn't get red cards. That's just, that's a surprising thing there. I was expecting 7 players should get red cards there, honestly. And it's fully justified. Lose the next game, it's fine. Play the kids, these are the kind of times that you need to go and I don't want to say shit, but you need to go and tell your mind to the ref, let him know that, bro, have sleepless nights for what you have done today, honestly. But again, as we've seen, all over football in Europe, referees are just, untouchable people that, they go, players lose their jobs, managers lose their job, but the referees always, come back and they still the same.
So Justin, are you familiar with the incident that happened at Valencia?
A little bit. It did pop up in my feed, the World Football feed anyway. We had Jude Bellingham. He got a red card in injury time. I think he mouthed off to the referee or something because you were denied a penalty or something like that.
No, man. So I'll explain. So what happened was our player Brahim, he crossed the ball, and while the ball was in the air, the referee decided to blow the final whistle. And Jude Bellingham actually,
you can't do that.
Jude Bellingham actually headed the ball in, and it was supposed to be a goal, but then the referee blew his whistle. And then after the game ended, all of the players surrounded the referee, and they were like, "Man, that was a goal. Why didn't you give it to us?" And Jude, I think I'm quoting Jude here. He said, "Fuck, it's a fucking goal," and he got a red card for that because he used the word "fuck" in that.
Well, it is a goal though, because if you look at the laws of the game in any code in world football, if the ball is in the air, especially in an attacking half, even in injury time, you just got to play the ball. As soon as the ball gets cleared, then fine, it's done. But it's a goal every day of the week, so that's just ludicrous. I think some of the La Liga officials there need to go back to the drawing board and go for retraining.
Absolutely. So is it just a Spain thing, or do you witness these kind of things on a day-to-day basis in the Bundesliga as well?
No, we don't have anything of major of stuff like that, I would say. Occasionally you'd have, a couple of questionable calls or something, but it doesn't seem like, if anything, this is going to probably sound obviously a little biased, but it seems like the Bundesliga officials are more better for Bayern Munich games. As in, they're very scared to make any wrong calls, or they'll make a call that you just won't see in any other game. Obviously, Bayern fans will disagree with that, but this is from the outside looking in. It's happened a couple of times when we've played Bayern, but it's also noticeable if you flick on the TV and you'll see another game and with Bayern involved, and yeah, it just seems like they give like a VAR decision or something, especially when it's questionable. It's like 50-50. So I'm not too sure what it's like for you guys in La Liga, if like any of the top clubs get any sort of favorable treatment or anything, but that's probably the only bias I'd see that's in the Bundesliga.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Justin, let me just ask you, because we've gone back and forth with the guys, on the pod a lot. Like, I don't know what's your opinion on this, but like, how do you think, like this refereeing thing can be handled? Because like, every now and then we see some, shitty things happen, and we're just left to wonder what happened. I always feel like we don't have an insight into why certain decisions were made when they were made. I don't know if you have any you have any ideas or any thoughts on how to bypass these issues.
No, so the only thing I can think of would be who runs your like the officiating in Spain. So, for instance, I don't know if it's La Liga is the owner of the league or like the name, or if that's who actually owns it. Otherwise, you'd have to go further up to like maybe UEFA, who would do like all European football. For us, it'd be the DFL. So first, what will happen is if there's like major breaches in officiating, first the officials will have to then speak to the DFL, or the clubs can go to the DFL and go, "Hey, this is not right. This is not what's going on," etc., and then the DFL will get involved. If the DFL can't do it, then obviously UEFA or someone higher up will be able to go and do something about it. So my suggestion would be for all the clubs members to basically, kick up a fuss and, put it forward that these calls are just getting ludicrous, and, on a weekly basis, if it is.
Cool. That's the thing, like football is a very partisan game. So like, unless the bias, for example, what's gonna happen is that Barcelona fans will be celebrating, okay, like she just happened to Real Madrid, and when it comes to Barcelona, like we Real Madrid fans will be celebrating. So you're literally asking for world peace, man. But like as humans, we prefer the chaos. So that's what can happen.
Well, sometimes when it comes to, like pride and, and biases and all that type of stuff, sometimes we just got to let that go for the greater good of the game, so to speak. It's always good to, give each other a bit of, stick, I suppose, to put it, friendly on match day and stuff like that. But then, when push comes to shove, we're all there for the football. So, even if it's just something so that it's better for everyone, not just, the major teams.
True, valid point, but yeah, I think let's just move on and forget that, because like the referee controversy, it's something that's gonna keep happening every other week.
Yeah, there's not much you can do.
Definitely, guys. I guess let's just deep dive into what happened in the first leg. Let's start with you, Justin. Just give us a gist of how the game went, your general takeaways from the game.
Okay. So I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but that's okay. No.
Go ahead.
most hated club in Germany anyway, so that's fine. Just bring it on. So I think that we outplayed you completely in the first half. Second half was a bit more 50-50. Still better team throughout the rest for the whole game. We had some really good chances. Sesko came in. He started the game, played brilliantly. Looked really made you guys look really worried at the back there. Had some chances that he missed. Some were gettable, some were not. What really stood out for me during that game was our defensive work. So I'll probably butcher this every time, but the Gegenpressing. So when basically, I don't know if you're familiar with that tactic of football, RB Leipzig do it all the time. Liverpool's another good one. So whenever there's a ball carrier on the ball, within the first, 5 seconds or so, two players one will actually leave their position. They'll both press the player to then dispossess the ball carrier and then win the ball back. So if you don't win the ball back within a certain time frame, you can also leave your players exposed. And that's where sometimes we do a little bit wrong. We don't actually have another player covering the position that also pressed. So we can be vulnerable in a certain area. So we played really good in the back there. I believe it was Benny Henriques and Willie Orban made some great saves, especially one-on-one down the back there. I think even Klosterman was capable, or was the culprit of a couple as well. If it wasn't for some of those defensive tackles and challenges down there, it could have been a cricket score almost, because we actually protected our goalkeeper quite well. Other than that, it was quite an entertaining game. I don't know if you wanted me to go into further detail with the goal or anything like that, or
Yeah, I
'cause I
mean,
can.
let's hear your thoughts on the disallowed goal. For me personally, looking at it live, I thought, man, we're off to a bad start. I didn't think two thoughts of it. I didn't even think he was offside or he was getting blocked. I just didn't see it in real time. Did you actually catch it? What were your reactions?
Yeah, so I did see it. To me, it did not look offside one bit. And that's not actually any bias. That's from when the ball was played, it actually seemed like he was onside. There was a couple of officiating calls that I thought were absolutely poor that day. My actual podcast episode said something about that.
Just a little something, yeah.
Yeah, look, it's just one of those things where you don't get to see those VAR calls or anything like that unless they put it on the live telecast or something. And then even then, I got a question like, is that actually what they're using, or is that just what we see as well? As a fan and supporter. But for me, that looked like a goal. It didn't look like he was offside. From when the cross was played, he looked like he was already played onside. And if I remember correctly, it took a deflection and then he scored a goal. Like he
So
scored from that.
I forget which player it was, but I believe the goal was disallowed because he was judged to being like obstructing Lunin, the goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper.
Yeah, so I didn't think he was actually obstructed. I just think he was poor positioning. But yeah, that's just where the cookie crumbles, and then it's unfortunate. It's it's in the record books. If you don't like the result of a game, who do you go complain to? Certainly not the officials, because they're not going to hear a bar of it. So
Yeah, absolutely. Farooq, man, like you're a fan of entertaining football. Like, were you entertained in the first half? Like, why do you think we couldn't put two passes together?
It was a game that you come to expect this way. Even like we went to Leipzig. I think last year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Justin. We lost 3-2. Was it last year or the year before that? I think in the group stages, the last game of the.
yeah, I think it was last year. That was definitely the result, though. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost 3-2 there. So going to Leipzig, it wasn't going to be an easy task, but like we just couldn't sort things out, immediately, and they failed also to capitalize on that, and the goal disallowed. Good fortune, I think. Even if it was disallowed for me as well, I would be just as furious as Justin was. As he said, a little bit, not too much. Well, yeah, I can understand that, and Lunin also came up clutch. So I think in that game as well, I think he set a record for the number of saves, or rather, he equaled the record in that game.
He equaled the
For
record.
the number of saves. Yeah, for a number of saves in a single game in the UCL. So I think that's just a thing. But again, it's quite interesting that you look at the game and you look at the stats. If I'm not mistaken, like Leipzig had like a ton of shots on target. Everybody just had 3 shots on target. And you look at the quality of those shots, and like one of them was a bar from Vinicius, one of them was a goal, and the other was another chance from from what's he called, Brahim again as well. And I even think we had a higher XG than Leipzig actually. I think we had like around 1.7, 1.8. Leipzig had like a 1.2 kind of thing. So that also goes to tell you about that experience that you talk about when you come to the stages of the of the competition as well, because the chances although like we say Lunin came in clutch, but I would expect that I don't think I see Vinicius missing that much chances that they missed. Even we had Benjamin Šeško also. I think he missed a couple of good chances in the second half as well. So I don't just see either Vinicius or Rodrigo. Okay, yeah, Rodrigo in this form might be, but I just don't see them missing that much of chances, honestly. And the way, because some of the shots actually, okay, Lunin did make the saves, but like I don't know if you get what I'm saying, Justin. Like there's these shots that it's just made so that the goalkeeper can make a spectacular save. It's like a shot that if a goalkeeper lets that through in the first place, bro, come on, like what are you doing? Like you're not.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, like there were saves that had to be made, of course, and credit to Lunin. But again, I just felt like it's like they weren't like that top class saves, but like they really literally sliced through us like hot knife through butter. I definitely will give them credit for that. Well, yeah, as I said, that's the thing. Like, it's nothing new. Like we've been there, we've done that before. We know it's a very difficult place to go. So considering the circumstances, that 1-1 victory, and especially considering the goal that was scored, I think it was a fantastic one.
Absolutely, guys. I think you guys basically covered it. But what stood out for me was like we just did not have that third player who could actually combine with Vinny and Rodrigo. You saw in the first half, it was just the only danger that came out of anything was Vinicius trying to dribble the whole team and trying to put the ball in, and that just did not work out. And I feel like Brahim just did not give the link up play that day. And before the goal, he was actually quite poor and invisible. But Flameboy is in the comments. He says, "Hello, guys." He says, "A bit of a harsh opinion, but just for the next match, I want Brahim to start instead of Rodrigo." And Farouk, like you could say the same for Rodrigo as well, right? Like he just even I think he got one chance in the second half when Vinny squared to him, and then he had to blaze it over because of the pressure from the defense. And even in the past games, he hasn't looked that clinical. Like, would you warrant that? Brahim starting over him. Farouk, you're muted, by the way.
My bad. Sorry. I was saying like for the Leipzig game, man. While I can understand some of the sentiments what people are saying, I just don't see that, man. I don't share that, especially for this game, because I feel like 1-0 game, it's really really on the edge, honestly, and considering how the game ended, in Valencia. So I really would prefer to go with Rodrigo. And the option is that Brahim is always there, and he has shown us time and time again that he's someone to be counted upon. So I feel like if it's not going the way you want it, you might just shuffle Brahim for Rodrigo. But starting, I'm not there yet, man. I hope I never get there, but I'm not there yet.
Absolutely. I guess that pretty much covers our thoughts on the first leg, but we have to look ahead. And Leipzig have been doing decently in the Bundesliga. I mean, we have been doing decently in La Liga as well. It's not because of us, it's just because both the other teams are pretty much fucking up and allowing us to stay on top. Even though we are drawing. We drew, I think, the last 2 of the 3 games. So, yeah, not great form heading into this game. However, there's a difference, right? You guys are going to be missing a couple of crucial players, and do you think that's going to really impact you, or you guys have it covered with bench players?
Well, I think in hindsight, we do have it covered with bench players. It's just that they're not going to be the quality of what they have. So, for instance, Mohamed Simikan just seems to have Vinny Jr.'s number, even though late in the piece there, Vinny seemed to be getting a little bit of better hold of him in the first leg, but he was also playing, I believe, as a left back, and Simikan doesn't like that. He actually stated to the club that he is quite happy to leave if he keeps continued being used as a left back or right back. Personally, I think that's one of the weakest points in our squad is our left back. So, but I could be right back. I would believe it would be right back because Raum normally plays. So, because we've only got basically 3 fullbacks and that's it. And then you've got the makeshift fullbacks to fill in the void there. So it'll be interesting to find out how we line up and how we decide to stop the creativity of Vinny Jr. And not only that, you stop one player, you've got, tons of world star players around. And then you've got the leadership skills of Lucas Klosterman that's been there for eons. Like, I don't really remember a time where players like him or Powson weren't playing for us, to be honest. So you've gone to miss his experience at the back there. I mean, if we didn't have Willie Orban there, he's really the guy that puts it all together in place. So he really makes everyone, accountable for their roles and, organizes the defense, a bit like the general, so to speak. So it'll be quite interesting affair at the Santiago Bernabeu, especially the first, say, 15 minutes or so, and how we line up. Be interesting to see if we can try something new as well, instead of just thinking that you will line up with the exact same squad for the day. But yeah, look, if we take it to you guys in the first 15 minutes or so, will give us the best chance. And if we don't do that, we just sit back and just let you dictate play, then yeah, we're going to have no chance. So we basically got to turn around and take it to you and really go, well, right, yes, we're young, yes, we're an inexperienced squad, yes, we're in your backyard, but if we want to continue, some club legacy, because we've obviously got none being such a short club, in how long we've been around for, we need to start taking these matches and taking it to the top teams in European football.
Absolutely. Man, I just don't think that it is on the cards for Leipzig to, actually sit back and, just defend. You guys are going to come out all gung-ho, especially in the first 15 minutes. Like, in the first leg, that was the period I was most worried about, the first 20 minutes. It almost seemed like every attack you guys were able to, like, string together was almost ending up in the back of the net, except for maybe you lacked a bit of sharpness in the final third, just the final pass that was missing.
Yeah, sometimes that's all not our downfall. We'd have a couple of players that can do really good passes, but it's only a couple, so to speak. So to have the final pass, we basically rely on Danny Olmo or Xavi Simons. So if they don't have that final pass, then depending on if we're crossing the ball, then it's pretty much David Rao. Other than that, Benny Henriques isn't too bad if he's playing in his traditional fullback role. But other than that, there's really no one for that through ball or ground pass or anything like that. A couple of players have played some good passes throughout the season that I've seen. Like Xavier Schlager's done a couple as well, but he's not known for his passing abilities.
Absolutely. Man, Farouk, I just want to ask, the other thing that stood out for me from the Leipzig squad was Sesko, man. What a player. And you would absolutely like take him over Joselu any day, right? Especially in his current form. Scoring, I think, 7 in the last 9. Do you think his future lies, especially in the next season, at Leipzig, or do you think he's actually ready for the Prem or maybe Italy even?
I think the name of Benjamin Šeško has been thrown around for a very long time, even since even before United bought Rasmus Højlund as well. Benjamin Šeško was a player that was linked with them. Even the first season when Ten Hag moved there as well. And even last season, like even with us as well, there was a time where there was towards the end of the transfer window, the name of Benjamin Šeško has been linked. So I feel like he's bound to make that big step, like we've seen a lot of players move through that that pipeline of of the RB Leipzig. So I think maybe Šeško might be the next person in line. Obviously, like you also have the likes of Simikan as well. But I feel like Šeško is the next one most likely to to take that route. And yeah, I definitely think one of these Premier Leagues are gonna take a punt on him. And the thing is that he's very young, so like he gives you that vibe of even he goes somewhere like it's not his final destination. Like maybe he needs to make one jump before he makes that final jump. So like maybe this mid-table teams or top Europa League chasing teams in the Premier League might take a punt on him, or even some of the bigger teams in Italy as well. Might take a punt on him, and before eventually he arrives at the very very top. Because I still feel like there's still some fine tuning to reach him, honestly. But yeah, I do think especially if Leipzig doesn't qualify for the UCL next year, I think Benjamin Šeško might be one of the sacrificial lambs.
Yeah, could be. I'll come back to you, Justin. So the last thing that I'm gonna refer from the previous game was I'm gonna hold you against it a bit, because every single Leipzig fan that I saw on Twitter, I was even translating some of the German tweets, and they were all calling for Schlager not to start. But he actually had a very decent game. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, he did. I actually said in my previous episode that he needs to be benched. Like he gave us a couple of conceded a couple of goals from his own footwork, so to speak, be it challenges or passes or positioning and stuff like that. And he really disproved. And hey, look, at the end of the day, as a supporter, if Marco Rosa gets paid to make those decisions, and I stand by any decision he makes, sometimes I can question. Sometimes when he puts subs on and stuff like that, he obviously knows what he's doing a lot more than I do. But sometimes you just look at it from the outside looking in and go, why in the heck would you turn around and play this player at this time or bring this player on at this time? And yeah, no, any critics that he had, especially the week before, completely shattered him. So, and played an outstanding game, and you just love to see it, especially when some players can't always come out of form and play themselves out of form. So by that I mean if they're not playing very well, they're playing poor, they can't just keep playing, and it just goes away. Sometimes they do need that break, or he's swapped around or something like that. But Schlager turned it around. Full credit to him.
Absolutely. And yeah, I guess we're gonna go for an ad break right now. We're gonna hear from Doris, but once we're back, we're gonna head it straight into the lineups, see what Leipzig has planned, and what our lineup is gonna look like as well. I know Hassan, you're already here in the chat. He says hola amigos, but yeah, man, stay tuned for the lineups after the ad break.
Hola Madridistas, I'm back once again to remind you guys that we're partnered up with Manscaped, and if you want to help and support this project and this little family of ours, be sure to check out Manscaped and use code LBR20 at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. So 2024 is in full swing. We're already a month in, and if you had any New Year's resolutions to look better, feel better, I have a company called Manscaped. They're trusted by more than 10 million men worldwide, and if you want to take a positive step, in a good direction this year, start with yourself. And Manscaped asked us to introduce you guys to the new lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It's a hair trimmer, for your sensitive bits. It features skin safe technology, to keep your sensitive bits safe. It has an LED bright, it's waterproof, you can use it in the shower. You get 2 extra heads, blade heads, to go either full smooth or a normal blade head. If you want to go all in, you can get the whole package. You get a nose trimmer, you get crop preserver, it's a ball deodorant, you get some aftershave, and in the box you also get some boxers and a bag, to keep all of those things in. So yeah, if you're interested, go to manscaped.com, use code LBR20 to get 20% off at checkout and free shipping. That's LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And thank you guys, and back to the video.
All right, we're back. Hassan, I hope you're still here, and thank you again, Doris, for that ad break. So I guess let's start with Leipzig then. Justin, go ahead, man. Like, what do you think the lineup is gonna be? So the main question is, like, do you think Marco Rose actually has something different planned, maybe a different alternative lineup, or he's gonna stick with the same lineup that you guys feature in the first leg?
I think he might actually do a little bit of a change up. So what really surprised me about the last game that we played in the Bundesliga with Bochum, we had Christoph Baumgartner. Excuse me, sorry. He played as a striker. I know I've seen him play as a striker before, but not under Leipzig. So it was very interesting to see him play there. And he played all right. He played quite well. He was more of a support striker because he played along with Sesko. So Sesko would have been the target man, so to speak, and Baumgartner, he can score, and he was just more of the the assisting, the dribbler, the creating of the chances. So that might be something that you would be look out for instead of just the original, like Openda and Sesko, because Openda came on and within a couple of minutes in his first play actually scored against Bochum. So for me, I think Peter Galacci will probably still take the goals over there. The only reason for that is being his actual experience. Both him and Janis Blaswich are great stop shoppers. Can't even say that word right. Shot stoppers. There we go. third time's the charm. So yeah, if we go with either of those in goal, I wouldn't be too bad with that. So I think the defense line is going to look like we'll have David Raum and Benny Henriques on the outside. And I think that what's going to happen with the center of the park in defense there is going to be Willie Orban and Castello Lucaba. I don't think young El Shababu, or Bishabu, if I've said that correctly, I think he'll travel. He may come on and play some minutes, but he's still quite young. He's only 18 years old, so he's a bit inexperienced. So to start him would be putting a lot of faith into the young lad. He's obviously got some skills to be able to be playing for us. So hey, if Marco does that. So he does some weird things sometimes. And then through the midfield, I think what will happen in there it'll be a two of either Haidara and Schlager or Schlager and Kevin Campbell. That being said, Haidara did play a really good game in the last game in Bochum and also I think against you guys as well in the first leg. So I would expect both of them to be playing in the midfield there. And then up front, this is where it gets a little weird because and so I would assume that we would have Danny Olmo and Xavi Simons start. There's no way you would be, unless you're trying to manage them for match fitness, to have one of those two not starting and coming on, 60 minutes into the piece or something like that. Otherwise, I would like to see Ilif Elmas start. He came on, our new signing. He only had 60 odd minutes before the last game against Bochum, and he played really well for the 30 odd minutes that he was on the ground for. So wouldn't mind him actually having to start if one of those two are going to be rested. And then up front, I think that you have to play Yusuf Poulsen and Openda. That reasoning is because of the experience and hold up play of Yusuf Poulsen, even though he comes on mainly as an impact sub, which is sort of what he's been known for currently. But he can play that role where he's tall like Sesko. He can take the ball and distribute it like Sesko has done as well. And so there'd be no point, unless you're just bombing in crosses, to have both Sesko and Poulsen starting because they're more of a like for like. And obviously you want to have our top goal scorer Openda on the pitch in a game like the round of 16 with you guys because we're 1-0 down. We need to score early, and there's no one much better besides maybe Xavi Simons.
Oh man, that is a brave decision. Like, do you think Marco Rose would actually do it? Like, drop Sesko and bring on Poulsen?
He may, but I think he loves him too much as a impact substitution to actually do that. So if he goes back to the last form of the last game that he played and then also the game against you guys, I don't think he will. I think it'd be good just for player management and also just for something new. Because then you've got the fresh legs and he's going to be a dangerous threat. But Poulsen has been lacking his actual goal scoring ability for a little while. He seems like he's on the decline. Love the bloke. He's a club legend. He's been playing for so long. He's actually an appearance record holder. So, but he's just declining that little bit. And if you're wanting to score early, he may be able to create the chance and maybe take a player, but he's not going to probably score that goal for you.
And Farouk, I've got asked, right? In the first leg, I was expecting a lot from Openda. I thought we were going to have our hands full with him. But we were able to actually manage him. And of the attackers, he was the least dangerous one. So why do you think that is? Is it just down to our defense? Or do you think Openda was just a bit too wasteful?
I think also that physicality, I think, is something that has always bothered us. I think that's why I feel like when we play this country we suffer a lot because their teams actually use that physicality to their strength. And I think a player like Benjamin Sheshko, that's actually I was gonna say to Justin what about starting both of them? Although you say they're of similar profiles, but I feel like this is something you want to target early on. Like it's a weakness that Real Madrid has that it's known, it's glaring that dealing with those aerial balls or dealing with physical attackers is something that gives us a bit of a problem. I think that's the reason why like Sheshko was more at the fore compared to Openda in the first leg. Honestly, I think our team is if you're gonna play with someone running behind stuff like that, like we have people people like Carvajal or what's it called, really are able to understand and interpret those situations and prevent it before it escalates to a dangerous situation. But I think that physical presence that Sheshko gives is something that till now is still a turn in our side. So I think that's the reason why, to answer your question. And then I just pose my question again to Justin. Like don't you feel like starting both of them together would give Leipzig a bit more chance, especially in the first 15-20 minutes, just to at least rattle us and shit like that,
Yeah, for sure. Like, so if you're just if your main goal is to attack down the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the pitch and just whip in nothing but crosses, then yeah, that'd be one of the best things that you could do, because both of them are tall, both of them can head the ball well. Powson is a bit more of he's moved himself into a poacher's role as these days, so he can get into actual dangerous positions. So if you're going to be doing that, look for him to be already in a dangerous position and then a ball to be crossed and whipped in. Otherwise, Sesko can also run with the ball, and he's not too much of a bad crosser. He's obviously not known for it, but he can pass the ball and chip it over to his striker combination partner if Powson does play. So, look, if they both do start, then yeah, expect a lot of crosses coming in from both the wide areas. And yeah, if that's what Marco Rosa goes for, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out.
I wouldn't say it's interesting for Real Madrid fans. It would be more terrifying than interesting.
Well, for me, it'd be more interesting because we mainly go down the left-hand side wing with David Raum. So, I mean, like I said before, Benny Henriques is still a good crosser of the ball himself. But it'd be interesting to see if we're just going to be completely one-dimensional down the left-hand side or if we're going to go on both sides. So that's where it'd be interesting for me, because otherwise it's like, well, you know exactly what you're going to do. Why don't you just shift your whole entire midfield and just press that side? That's how I would combat that anyway myself, because then you're going to give them less space. You're not going to be able to run with the ball, and then you can try to win the ball back in dangerous areas. But yeah, that's why it'd be interesting for me, I suppose. But that's from my perspective. So
yeah. Remains to be seen. Yeah, man. But definitely, like, what counts for me in this game is that some of our injured players are back. Mainly, Rudiger is back. He's going to be so huge in the back line, along with Nacho. Hopefully, he's totally fit, throwing away his injury niggles over the past weeks. And last but not the least, man, Jude Bellingham is back. You know for sure he's gonna bomb into the box, combine with Vinny and Rodrigo, and actually create some danger. So how worried are you with Jude?
I'm not actually worried, so to speak. We've played a lot with him. So we've played a lot against him in the Bundesliga. He's obviously a different player now that he's moved over to Real Madrid. But for me, it'd be more so to see how he reacts mentally over the sending off, the issues that's happened, because he's still quite young. If he's professional enough to put that aside and use that as fuel to completely dominate, then yeah, we're screwed. But otherwise, I don't know why you would actually play him to start because you would put him as a central forward, wouldn't you? Because I thought Brahim Diaz was actually quite well. Or is that who played, or was it Joe Slow?
Yeah, it was Brahim who started in the first leg. But recently, he's been playing more of a left-sided advanced role where he combines more with Vinny and tries to get into that same left half space and into the box. He definitely does not play as a centre forward as he did earlier on in the season.
Okay, so if that's his unnatural position, then yeah, you've basically only got Bellingham and Joselu. So
no, it's Rodrigo. I don't think Joselu is going to start this game, especially considering that he's just coming off an injury. So definitely going to be Rodrigo, Vinny, and Bellingham attacking you guys. But yeah, man, I guess that just segues into the lineup. Farouk, who else? Do you see any change from that front three?
No, man, I don't see any changes from them, and I definitely think it's a Jude, Rodrigo, and Vinicius thingy. But actually, what I wouldn't be surprised is to see a Luka Modric start, in the middle of the park.
Really?
That's something that I wouldn't be surprised to see, considering that it's a game that we need to we need all the experience for. We need to calm the tension down, especially as just saying coming off the back of the whole shenanigans that happened at the Mestalla. So I would not be surprised to see a Luka Modric start in this game. But yeah, how is it gonna look like? I'm not exactly sure, but I think Luka starting wouldn't be something surprising. But I think in the middle of the park there's a room for shuffling. Well, I'm gonna say something that maybe people would not like, is that actually I don't want to see Mendy start. I want to see Camavinga as a left back for this game. Honestly, I feel like there's too much on the line, and I feel like with Camavinga, we can handle. I can understand, yeah, okay, when you go against, the very, very best in Europe, you want to like, keep Mendy there for that defensive solidity. But I feel like this game we need that, combinations and that understanding that Camavinga offers, from the left back position. So that's one thing I'd love to see, honestly. But I don't know if it will happen or not because, like, it's Leipzig at the Bernabeu and it's just leading 1-0, so anything can happen. So I feel like Carl Ancelotti will always rely on that Ferland Mendy defensive solidity thing. But I think for more fluency, I think Camavinga will offer more options, honestly, in my opinion.
I mean, like for me, like we're not chasing the goal. We can afford to maybe sit back in the first half an hour, absorb the pressure, and then maybe start to hit them when legs tire a bit more. So that would definitely be the plan. And like, who else to like shut up shop than Mendy then? And especially considering that if Jude Bellingham or Kamavinga, either of them get a yellow card, they're out of the first leg in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's
So
true too.
having
That's
Kamavinga
true.
at left back for the whole game, I don't think it's a good idea. It's a ripe recipe to get him suspended.
But that's the thing, like, in the quarters as well, if you get a yellow card in the first leg, you miss the second leg. It's not until the semifinals before all of it is
That's
wiped
true.
out. So, I mean, you might as well just get suspended now and just move on with it. So that's just the thing as well. Because I mean, when you're playing the quarterfinals second leg, like I mean, all the chips most likely will be on the table unless like you're gonna have like a 3-4 nil blowout in the first leg. Like I mean, so you need everything available at that point in time. But I kind of get what you're saying. I totally definitely get what you're saying. Like the points, like there's not really need to create extra risks when there is nothing there. But I mean, yeah, this is Camavinga. We're talking about like okay, yeah, he's developed a lot, gone a long way from the player he used to be. But like I mean, he can come onto the pitch for 30 seconds and in that 30 seconds get a yellow card as well. So, you know,
It's very true.
there isn't too much to say. But because what I'm just talking about is the fact that like we are a team that start very slowly, right? So I mean, just imagine a very extreme scenario where RB scores a goal early on. It's parity all over, and then like you need to chase the game. Like, would you? I wouldn't feel comfortable chasing the game with Ferland Mendy. I'd rather have
Kamavinga.
I'd rather have Kamavinga there, in that spot. But I totally get what you're saying. There's no need to risk stuff. But yeah, I mean, the yellow card is gonna happen sometime somewhere. Let's just hope fortune favors us in the sense that we get a good draw, and even if they get suspended, it's fine. You can just push it through and stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. Okay, I mean, Lunin's for sure gonna start, right? Carvajal's gonna start. Rudiger Nacho at centre back. Mendy or Kamavinga. We're not sure yet. Probably gonna be Mendy. Maybe Kamavinga comes on in the second half. So left
Are
back.
you sure about the Rudiger Nacho combination thingy?
Why would I not be sure?
I'm thinking the Rudiger Chouameni combination, bro.
Chouameni, bro. No.
I don't know, man. I just kind of feel like they might be willing to throw a spanner into the works. Honestly, I feel like I get your sense that okay, like you have a centre back on the bench, why not play a centre back in place and need to force the team play Nacho there. But yeah, I mean we can go with that. But I was because I mentioned about Modric earlier, I was thinking maybe he might want to try to put Toni Kroos in the pivot and play Luka Modric and Fede Valverde together, as the double eight thingy with Jude being the number 10 at the tip of the diamond or something like that. So I'm actually thinking about this, but I don't know, man. Maybe this might happen or this might not
Yeah,
happen.
like judging from what you're saying, you're trying to cram as many midfielders into the pitch as possible. Kamavinga at left back, Chouameni at centre back, Kroos, Modric, Valverde, and Bellingham on the pitch as well.
Yeah, that's literally everything we have. So the problem now becomes this, how do you make your subs? It's Brahim and Osilu that are the subs, and Nacho as well. So depending on how it goes or how it doesn't go. But I think eventually we will see this variation at certain point in the game,
Definitely.
This is also depending on how the game goes. But, I really do hope that, we don't get an early scare from RB at the beginning of the game. But I do think, like, eventually at a certain point we will see a certain variation of, let's make sure those are on the pitch at the same time. But I do think, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Luka Modric starts tomorrow. I think that on Wednesday, sorry. I think that might be one of the things to look out for. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, let's just go with, the whole Nacho thing, Nacho Rudiger, and then I guess the fullbacks also is up for grasp. I think the fullback actually with Carl Ancelotti it's not up for grasp. I think it's just Ferland Mendy there, right?
For sure. Hands
As you
down.
mentioned, because like we're not chasing the game and nothing, so I think that's just the thing there.
Yeah, for a moment there, like I saw you, Justin, you were looking at Farouk like he was a madman because he was asking all of these
I mean,
midfielders
look-
to play defense.
I mean, look, in a couple of those players' defenses, when you had your injuries stacked against you, like, Chimini and Camavinga did quite well in unorthodox positions for them, as they're both known as central or defensive midfielders. So you look, and if you go on by one of the best managers in the world, Pep Guardiola, he's got 12 midfielders on the pitch at all times or something. So so look. What works, and at the end of the day, look, I wouldn't actually be surprised if Chumini, from my perspective, would actually be at centre back because that's where he's mostly been. So, for left back, who knows in that perspective. But regardless, you're going to have good players all over the pitch. From our perspective, like we're going to have our hands full, especially if we're not careful. So, it doesn't matter who's playing. It's Real Madrid, so best European team. You got to just be careful on every single position.
100%. Yeah, man. And Justin, you want to go with maybe first options off the bench?
Yep. So depending on obviously how we line up, Yusuf Poulsen will come on off the bench. That's normally what he does. Elif Elmas, I'd love to see him come on the bench because I don't see him starting. As much as I'd love to see him start. Nicholas Seiwald will probably also come on as well. He played really, really well in our last game against Bochum. He did some great passes and great challenges, so I wouldn't actually be surprised if he did make it in the starting 11. That would probably be my main three that would come on. Obviously, we do have a couple of other players that can come through. So depending on who starts, we'd have Christoph Baumgartner comes in. He's more of an attacking midfielder or makeshift striker. Through the defense, this is where we sort of lacking our depth. We'd either come on with the young Mr. El Shababu, Chadel Bishabu, or I'm going to keep butchering that for a long time. And other than that, we don't really have anyone else besides maybe a makeshift left back in Christopher Lenz. So, basically our defense is where I would see us, if especially the left back position, if we could ever, obviously the season's done and dusted with transfer windows, but as for next season, depending ins and outs, that's where I'd be making my changes. So to sum it up, you'd be Poulsen, Baumgartner, Seiwald, and I would say that would probably be your main changes, depending on what we actually change. So if Kevin Campbell or Xavier Schlager don't start, they might come on for a bit of experience as well and a bit of quality in the central of the park. But really depends on how the game's going and if it's winnable or if it's 2-0 and we're chasing it completely and it's like 65 minutes in. It really boils down to the situation at hand, so to speak. So, but rest assured, I'll make the prediction now. You'll see Yusuf Poulsen at some point. be starting or he'll come on. So he seems to come on every game, at least from the substitution. It's if there was odds for betting or something, it'd be $1.10 or something ridiculously small. So
Replacing my bets right now. But yeah, man, good stuff. We'll watch out for that. I didn't want to ask though, I just saw it just an hour ago. I saw links for Dani Olmo to Barcelona. And I know he's been a bit polarizing for you guys this season, but what's the contract situation like with Olmo? I mean, for Barcelona to actually go out and try to get him, he must probably leave for a free transfer or close to maybe 10-20 million. I don't think they can afford more than that.
No, so he's just recently had a contract extension actually. So, and that was earlier in the year. So if he's leaving, he's going to be leaving for money. He can't be a free transfer or anything like that. I know he's always said that he's loved Barcelona because I believe he's a product of La Masia, if I've said that correctly, which is their academy. So look, I do think he'll probably make it back there someday. I don't know if he'll go back there next season, as Barcelona's financial struggles. So it'll come to the point of are we willing to accept a mediocre transfer deal or something for one of our starting 11 players, and we're not going to be keeping Xavi Simons next season because
That's going to
PSG
be
are
a
most
huge
likely
loss.
PSG are most likely going to build the team around him. I mean, I would, especially after his season with us. It would make sense to do what happened with that dominance. I hate to bring this up for you guys, but with Messi when he came in, so they built the team around him. So that's basically when you have a young player of quality, you've got to build the team around him, especially of the caliber of Xavi Simons. So that's where, if some people have even said that if we didn't have Xavi Simons, would we be a mid-table side this season? And to be frankly honest, I think we would, because is actually gives us that extra dynamic that we don't have. I mean, we can get that from Danny Olmo, but then we're relying too much on him. So I said that earlier episodes of my podcast that we should do everything that it takes to keep Xavi Simons on a permanent basis. I mean, obviously, in the world of football, nothing's ever off the table until it's done in stone. But yeah, I don't see my what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't have high hopes for him staying in the long term. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but that just means that we need to have another central attacking midfielder and shore up some other places depending on other coming and goings. For instance, if we lose Sesko to you guys, or he snubbed Manchester United years ago, last year I think it was actually, he decided to come to us instead. So it really depends on who leaves and who we come in to replace. So yeah.
Yeah, gonna be a difficult one, and the thing is almost like very injury prone as well. So you can't rely on him for the whole season like you can Xavi Simons.
Yeah, so he in the Super Cup he pretty much single-handedly decimated Bayern 3-0. That was a fantastic performance, and since he's come back, he really only started hitting his straps in the Bochum game. It was glimpses and bits and pieces there of his earlier form, but that's one of the risks you take, unfortunately, with footballers. Some footballers are injury prone. Some footballers will go through some of their careers without major injury or anything like that. So I guess that just affects his market value as per se, because the club's going to have to pay this person a salary even when they're out, and how much value are they getting on the pitch of this player, and is it worth a set amount of money basically. So look, obviously I'd love to keep him. I don't want to ever see Olmo leave, but hey, you can't get attached to players, unfortunately, especially at Leipzig, because we are prone to building young players up and then sending them on their way for football, which is one of the things I would say is disappointing. I'd like to keep our stars for a little bit longer, but that's just a part of how our club does business to cope with financial fair play and all that type of stuff. So
Definitely, man. So yeah, I guess Farooq, like, do you have anything else to add, or let's go right into the predictions?
Yeah, I mean, nothing more. So nothing more to just another wording.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, all the first legs, it was the rest of the fixtures. It all happened like expected. The stronger teams just barely scraped past. There was no shutouts, or like there were no finals. There were no 4-0s. It was all as predicted.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we see a more exciting second leg for every single fixture. But yeah, guys, I'll go with you, Justin. What's your prediction gonna be for this game?
My heart tells me 2-1 win to RB Leipzig, but my brain tells me 2-1 win to Real Madrid. I think you guys will win 3-1 on aggregate. I think we may score first, but then I just think that the quality of Real Madrid will just end up showing up, and you guys will just get get it done in the business end by the full 90 minutes. So yeah, 2-1 score, Real Madrid win.
I mean, in these situations, it's a Champions League. It's a round of 16. You have to go with your heart, man. But I can totally I can totally understand that.
Yeah, I got to go, like with my brain, because as much as I want RB Leipzig to win, I just can't see it happening. I mean, it'd be fantastic for the club, to be able to knock off, Europe's best in their own backyard and get further into the Champions League. I mean, we've made the next stage before, so it's not like it will be going as deep as possible, as we went as far as possible with Julian Nigelsmann a couple years ago. But I don't remember us ever having like a milestone win or anything like that. Like we didn't, beat City in Manchester. We got absolutely romped. We, obviously we've never won at the Bernabeu, so there'd be a club first for that. And look, you want to see history get made. I just don't think that the squad itself is at that level just yet.
Maybe next season, yeah. But yeah, we have to see what happens in this game. Especially, I know Farouk can attest to this. If we see both Paulson and Sesko on the pitch, we're probably going to concede in that 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you, man. I definitely think so. And I do actually think, like considering also like how we've been playing, like we've not been playing on all cylinders, like, we have just returned back to normal. I kind of felt like towards the end of the year, like in December, January, actually, we kind of hit, I think it was in January, not in December. I think in January, we kind of hit, a good patch, where everything was, clicking and you could see the, interactions and interplay and, something was building up there, And I think right now we've returned back to, our default of towards the beginning of the season when we play games and we always look like, we barely, scrape through, like, it's a last minute goal or like even if we win, with a convincing scoreline, but, you as a spectator of the game never felt, comfortable or convinced of the performances, So I think it's just it's gonna be a continuation of that. I don't know, why it is, but I kind of feel like, this is how Carlo Ancelotti rolls, so this is what he does. So it's going to be, again, a very unconvincing game. Maybe Leipzig also might be the better team on the day, but it's going to be just a Real Madrid victory. So I think I'm going to go with, Justin's prediction as I think a 2-1 will be just something like that. Leipzig doing what they do. But I wouldn't be surprised if they score first, as you said, Jacob, but I do think eventually, like, Real Madrid will get the business done at the Bernabeu.
Totally. For me, going with something crazy since none of you guys want to see an exciting game for fuck's sake. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a 3-3, high scoring second half especially. I think it's gonna be 1-1 in the first half, and 2-2, bang bang, and then Bellingham finally sealing it for us in the second half.
Wow.
6-goal thriller at the Bernabeu, eh?
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
That's going to be crazy, man. Yeah. I mean, I'm totally down for that. I mean, sign me up as long as Real Madrid goes through. I'm down for everything, man.
I'll actually be watching this game at work, so don't tell my boss. So it'll be like 6:30 in the morning. I'll be like screaming, at work. So I'm not even sure if I'm working with a work colleague that actually enjoys football or anything like that. I do work with one of them that does. He just likes all teams, I think so,
Right.
or he supports Real Madrid. I can't remember which one, but yeah, he'll give me a lot of stick if Real Madrid beat us. So as he always does, he gives me a stick all the time for being a Leipzig supporter. So you get used to it after 12 years.
Yep. Long time to grow some thick skin. But yeah, let's slowly wrap this up, guys. We have our predictions, our lineups. We just have to wait for the game to see something crazy. But yeah, guys, check out Justin over at his channel. The links are down in the description. So the podcast name is RBL Talks. If you want to like go out and check out some of the only English content out there for RB Leipzig and how the Bundesliga is going, go check him out. His Twitter is also, I believe, in the comments down below. Additionally, I want to thank all of you guys in the comments, Flameboy and Hassan, who've been here, keeping us company. Thank you guys for being here. And go check out our content over at Instagram because we're going to be coming out with the fan cams. And Sid is going to be interviewing all of the fans that come out after, hopefully, a happy victory at the Bernabeu. So yeah, folks, until next time. Hala Madrid!
Hala Madrid!
Thanks for having me, guys.